Premier, welcome to 7:30.
Good evening, Laura. Thanks for having me.
You lobbied hard for this $7.2 billion of new money. You and the Prime Minister have spoken about priorities. Where is it going to be spent? Are there agreed priorities? Who gets to finally determine where it will be spent, and how quickly can you get the work underway?
Laura, we've set up an independent advisory council to take all of the politics out of it, and that's been a really big part of the problem over the last decade. There just hasn't been that long-term plan, and there's been too much short-termism, too much things done on that political focus. By having that independent council, by getting the best and brightest around the table, by making sure that we've got a long-term vision, it removes that. It removes it being about what's in the political interest, and it's about that long-term plan for the Bruce. In the end, 2/3 of Queenslanders rely on that road, and you use the word the lifeblood. It really is. It's that artery. It's the difference between someone getting home safely to their loved ones. It's the difference between the economic survival for regional Queensland. So if one part of that road goes out, it just affects the communities, the length and breadth of it. So it's important we remove the politics from that. This returns the funding arrangement to the 80-20 that it's always been. It is a federal road. It's important they do the lion's share of it. Our role will be to do proper planning and make sure that projects can be delivered on time and on budget, and I'm confident we can do both.
Well, the individual projects might have the politics taken out of them, but Labor is way behind in the polls in Queensland. Will this decision resonate with Queenslanders, given how important the road is? And has the PM stolen a march on Peter Dutton over this? There have been conflicting positions from Mr Dutton, Angus Taylor and David Littleproud, which suggest the coalition may have been caught a little flat-footed.
Laura, others can comment on the politics of it. I'm not a political commentator, but I'm there to rattle the tin and do the right thing by my state. And I've always said I've got to be on the Maroon team, and regardless whether it's a red team or a blue team in Canberra, I've got to be on Team Maroon and fight for our fair share. Now, I make the observation the opposition, Mr Dutton, has committed to this previously. In the end, we welcome the funding commitment from the Prime Minister because it gives us that ability to deliver what Queenslanders want. I just can't stress how important this road is. There were approaching 80 occasions in the last 12 months where that road was cut off for some period of time. Now, whether that be via an accident or flooding, that's unacceptable. And for anyone who's driven that road, it is a goat track, and we wouldn't accept it anywhere else in the country, and I don't accept it for my state. It is below standard. So there are so many parts of that road that just aren't up to scratch, and we've seen the loss of too many loved ones, 42 in fact in the last 12 months, and we've seen the economic impacts of it as well. It's just not up to standard. So I'll let others comment about the politics of it. I'm going to use the opportunity with a federal election to get what my state needs and what's been lacking for too long. And in a short period of time, we've been able to broker what hasn't been able to be done for some time, and that is bipartisan agreement on that. And you bet that we're going to drive value for money for Queenslanders.
Well, speaking of bipartisanship and the like, you've made clear that you do not agree with the federal coalition's nuclear policy. Why is that?
Well, we've got an energy plan and we've put that forward. But what I would ask for everyone participating in this is to park some of the childish rhetoric that I've seen and some of the commentary that I've seen in recent days, including from the Federal Treasurer. I don't think that does any good for the public discourse of the quality of debate, and I don't think people want to see that. Now, by all means, that's an argument that Canberra can wage, but it should be done on facts. There shouldn't be silly memes and fish with lots of eyes. And that's just childish.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people want to see that.
And I'm sure that that's right. But for a national audience, I'm just not sure that they know what it is that you object to about the nuclear policy. Is it the economics? Is it safety issues? What's the problem?
Well, we put forward a plan, and I'll explain why we put forward that plan. In the last 12 months, Queensland's power prices went up by 19.9%. Now, that's 3 times the national average. Now, there is one thing that Queensland has that the other states don't, and that is the youngest fleet of coal-fired power stations and they haven't operated at their capacity for the better part of 3 years. Now, our focus was on, and we said to the Queensland population before the election, that we will get those plants operating to drive down those power prices. And then we've spoken about renewable energy, and we've spoken about pumped hydro as a way of storage. So we've put forward that plan. Now, in terms of the argument about nuclear, that'll be something that Canberra can debate, and that'll be something that will happen as part of the federal election campaign. I'm asking people to do it in the right way. We saw some things during the Queensland campaign, and to the credit of the voters in Queensland, they saw through it. But no one wins when politics gets reduced to childish barbs. No one wins when there's scare campaigns. So let's debate that on facts, and we look forward to playing our role in making sure that energy for Queensland is affordable, reliable and sustainable.
Just on more local issues, Premier, your major campaign issue in the state election was youth crime. It was reported yesterday there have been 272 youth arrested or charged since you passed tough new laws 3 weeks ago, but your police chief says the rate of offending is also up. The adult crime, adult time policy is contentious, but could I ask you a practical question? Have you got enough incarceration capacity to deal with the upsurge in numbers, and are you budgeting for increased capacity?
Laura, in two parts. Firstly, we have to make sure that we deal with early intervention as well to turn kids around before a lifetime of crime. We do have a generation of repeat hardcore offenders who have gone through the system, and it has been a broken system. And the state is in a youth crime crisis, and that's why we do need those stronger laws. We also do need to do early intervention. In terms of the incarceration capacity, I don't want to see kids in watch houses. We do want to see permanent facilities. There have been delays and poor planning. My role will be to make sure that we can bring on facilities that are delivered to be able to meet demand. What happens in those facilities is equally important. At the moment, young offenders in youth detention centres aren't getting the education they deserve. In fact, less than 3 hours per day is the average across those centres. I don't accept that. I want to see kids within jails being given the opportunity to turn their life around when they go on the outside. When they do leave prison, I want to see them have the support services around them to turn their life around. That's not happening at the moment. So we failed a generation of kids right throughout that system. So yes, we have passed stronger laws to act as a deterrent, to make sure that the worst of the worst are dealt with, and I do believe that will have an impact. So too will early intervention and rehabilitation when a young person leaves prison.
Premier, so many questions, so few minutes. We look forward to having you back to discuss a lot more issues in the future.
Appreciate your time, Laura. Thanks for having me on.